What's going on, everybody? And welcome to another edition of Prior Sports World. Here with another edition of our season previews. I'm your host, Israel Rivera. Here is TJ Hopkins. Like I said yesterday, he would be joining me today for the Colts preview show as we get this series going and running with this train in the AFC South as we start with the as we get along to the third place Indianapolis Colts. But before we start the show, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast here at Prime Sports World on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. In case you missed, you catch us on all streaming platforms where podcasts can be heard, and also catch us on. Please make sure to check out our website at pswmg.com. Anyways, TJ, the Indianapolis Colts. Just a recap of their season last year. First year under Shane Steichen. How'd you see that season?
Can you hear me?
Or how'd you view that season last year?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you a little bit, yeah.
Incomplete. Obviously, you went into that season. Anthony Richardson supposed to be the forefront, and he gets hurt. He gets hurt, and
is that better? Yeah, that's
a little bit better. Yeah, that's definitely better.
And so like you obviously went into the season last season with Anthony Richardson, the ultimate wild card in the draft. Everybody's like, you're taking him fourth overall? Like they looked at him like they were crazy. But Richardson showed that, with time he's gonna be fine. Like now he has to also understand that, hey, you're not the biggest dude on the field anymore, so you can't you can't run everybody over like you did in high school and like you did in college. So like I give them an incomplete grade for last season, mostly because of him. Like if I would have liked to have seen what they would have done if Anthony Richardson can play the full the full season. That being said, they still made the playoffs. They were a errant pass away from winning a wild card game, I think. And that goes that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Like wasn't Minshew that quarterback last season? Wasn't it Gardner Minshew?
Yeah, Gardner Minshew was their quarterback. One game, like you said, of a playoff berth when they lost to the Texans at the end of the season. If they would have won that game against the Texans, they would have they would have made the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So one game short, and it gives the fans a lot to be optimistic about. All right, now you can say that, hey, if we had Anthony Richardson, maybe Houston don't win the division. Maybe it doesn't come down to the last game of the regular season for us to get into the playoffs. Shane Steichen. He had a successful first year. We don't see a lot of coordinators have that first year success, especially when they go to bad teams, right? And this is a Colts team that they have talent. They got talent everywhere. Like you got Michael Pittman Jr. at the receiver spot. You got a receiver in Alec Pierce out of Cincinnati, who I really like. I thought they got a steal when they got hit. And then, of course, you got the man in the backfield, Mr. Jonathan Taylor, Jonathan Taylor said, I'm the best running back in the league. You can't say
I believe what Jonathan Taylor last year didn't come back until after his whole contract was all situated, if I'm not mistaken, right? I forget which week he came back. And he missed first couple games or so of the season, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong, but I think I'm right actually on that.
But at the same time, it's also me personally, I didn't expect Jonathan Taylor to be playing anywhere else. I don't think the Colts are gonna mishandle that situation. At least I hope not. I pray to God not.
They don't do a New York Giants with the
Man,
Saquon Barkley.
man,
Is that that's another topic to talk about? I don't think y'all got to the NFC East. I don't think we got to the NFC East yet.
No, we have not. We have not. And then so like it's when you look
he
at
was
the
on the
when
pup
you look at
list.
the
He was on the
Colts,
pup list. My bad.
yeah. When you look at the Colts,
Yeah, with his contract standoff. Yeah.
you're trying to make this as much of a three horse race as you possibly can between you, the Jags, and the Texans, of course. And you want to be there, like you want to be there to the bitter end. And this is a division that's, I mean, Houston's probably going to be the favorite to win it, but this is a division that's going to be up for grabs, and the Colts have every right to feel like, hey, we can win this. Like we can beat Jacksonville, we can beat Houston.
Yeah, I mean, between those three teams, I don't know what the hell David was thinking about yesterday. Oh, anyways, I'm sorry. That's not. I ain't gonna talk about it. I ain't gonna do him like that.
No, sometimes you gotta call out bullshit when you see it, like sneaky. Like, really?
Bro, no, TJ. I started going through that schedule yesterday, and I was like, bro, how in the are they going to be a sneaky playoff team when the first 7 games are like a quarterback gauntlet? Because we got to expect Caleb Williams to play like a veteran. You know, he's like a especially with the talent the Bears have, transcendent talent, generational talent. But anyways, with the Colts, I think it's the perfect segue to go into one of the storylines, Anthony Richardson's expectations. Last season, let's talk about Anthony Richardson all in all, right? You hit the nail on the head, right? Picked number 4 overall. It was very controversial, especially due to the up and down year that he had at Florida in his junior season. But all the traits were there. When you saw the big splash plays, when you saw the big games that he had, they were magnificent. They were off the Richter scale. When you put together the best top 25 plays of any quarterback in college football, he had most of them in college football. So when you look at that and you're like, man, let's hone that talent. He's a Cam Newton type of talent with a rocket forearm, with athletic traits where he can, with the body where he can jump over you, he can run through you, he can run around you, run past you, and he can make every throw on the damn field. I think that Anthony Richardson, when I looked at the tape before they got him, I said, man, that Utah tape stood out when Utah went into Florida first game of the season. He made some plays that were just like, man, I haven't seen something like that in 10 years. It's since like Cam was at Auburn type of deal.
Yeah, the downside to it, like the part that not rubbed people the wrong way, but was like questioning. It's like, yo, I think he barely completed over 50% of his passes in his last year at Florida. So it's like they're like, and rightly so. It's like you were barely over 50% in college. How are you going to translate that to success in the NFL? And it's again, it's an incomplete. Like you got to play a full 17 to really gauge. Like I understand he got out to a good start, got out to all the other stuff, but like at the same time, you got to understand, like I said, bro, high school, college, it's cool because you was 6'5", 250, you the biggest dude on the field. You faster than everybody, you stronger than everybody. Like, bro, just in your division, Josh Allen is the same size as you. Just as fast as you. And he's a DN, so it's like you can't, like you're not gonna run him over. You're not gonna out muscle him. So it's like once he learns how to take care of his body, which is something that Cam Newton didn't really do, which is something that Big Ben didn't really do. Like, and we see it a lot with these bigger, stronger quarterbacks, right? Like because they got the body, they feel like they can take all that punishment. But it weighs on them after a while. So like Shane Steichen and the crew got to teach Anthony Richardson, hey man, live to fight another day. It's okay if you get 8 on the scramble and get down. We'll get the 2 the next play. Like it's all right.
Well, I think that's any quarterback that's built with his physical attributes. I think it's a learning curve, right? Coming into the league. So and in terms of getting down, you're not gonna run through everybody and run around everybody. You learn the hard way. But in the four games sample size that he did have, 7 total touchdowns, 4 on the ground, 3 through the air, only 1 interception. He did complete over 59.5% of his passes.
I see that get better.
And that's gonna get better. And I like to see a rookie, like a quarterback. I think a successful quarterback, a successful starting quarterback in the league has to be able to complete 60 to 65% of their passes. 65 is like, man, you're talking like you're damn near an MVP talk, in my opinion, right? Especially with all the reps that they all the attempts that they throw.
So like that's kind of like, and 65 is high. Like it's also like it's skewed because, like you said, like the amount of times they pass the ball, but you also got to look at your counterparts. Like who are you going against? Like you got a Joe Burrow, you got a Trevor Lawrence, you got a CJ Stroud, you got a Pat Mahomes, you got Aaron Rodgers, who's like we've seen the mid to high 60s be done. Like we've seen it done. So it's like when you look at who you're going against, it's like, hey, damn, if most of the quarterbacks in the league are doing 62 to 65 and I'm at 60, it's like, damn, I got some work to do. I got to get
Well, yeah. I think that's like I said, where he was at his first year, and only in a small sample size, like I said, and he also had 136 yards on the ground, meaning on 25 carries, meaning he was getting active, especially in the red zone. He was, most of those touchdowns were in the red zone. But I think
where I want to see that's kind of where I want to see him, like 20 yards in. Like that's where I want to see the design runs for him.
Yeah. He's so big from 5 yards out. He's a weapon, in that red zone. But expectations for him this season coming up is, I think, one, you have to stay healthy. You got to play more than 4 games. Two, we want to see you develop more as a passer. We saw that you can really rip it. You can throw it deep. But we want to also see you fit it in the zones. We want to see you find the space, the openings in zones. We want to see you change plays at the line, take more command of the offense. That's what we want to see Anthony Richardson do. And then the splash plays are the extra plays, right? You're going to be dynamic no matter what because of your athletic and your physical prowess. And I think he's a guy that, in my opinion, I mentioned this, I alluded to this yesterday because I said Will Levis is the worst quarterback in this division. I think it's, we just saw Trevor Lawrence get paid. CJ Stroud he's a star. The CJ Stroud is going to be, and I know it's on season, but CJ Stroud already has the makings of a superstar. Anthony Richardson has, some catching up to do when it comes to those 2 quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? I
feel about the one-hit wonder. It's like, hey, man, you got that shit.
Man, we'll get to Houston, I guess, when next week. But when you look at Houston and what they added, golly, they went from a situation where it's like we thought they were going to be last place to now this year. Those expectations, they got the bullseye on their back. They're projected to be first place this season. Houston is. And so Indianapolis, when I look at Anthony Richardson, I think, like I said, just, I want to see him develop more as a passer, but I just want to see him be healthy, right? We don't want to see him only play 4 games. We want to see him play a whole full season, because then we can actually look at him and see, okay, is he our actual franchise quarterback? And I'm sure everybody, Shane Steichen and what's his name, Chris Ballard, they're all thinking the same thing. They like what they see in the offseason. Everybody's raving about what he's putting in, the work that he's putting in the offseason. But, is he going to, the bill of health, right?
And here's something like last year he went viral for, some warm-up throws where he's doing jump throws and he's throwing the ball 50 yards. I'm all like, I don't care about that, because in no way in the game? Are you going to sprint out, roll out to the right, jump 2 feet in the air, and throw the ball? Like, you're not going to do that's not a pass you're going to do in the game. So I don't care that you're rolling out to the right, jumping and throwing the ball 50, 60 yards. I don't care because that's not a play you're going to make in the game. You kind of you hit the nail on the head. Like, I got to see more than like four. Like, I think people forget that. Like, outside of the Colts nation, dude only played 4 games. Dude only played 4 games. Like, a lot of people forget that. Like, he got hurt so early on in the season. Like, bro, you didn't make it past the first month of an NFL season as the 4th overall pick and as a quarterback, bro. That's not a good look, because the one thing you don't want to be labeled this early in your career is injury prone, right? So you gotta you got people on the fence right now that's already calling me injury prone, because it ain't like you had a nagging a small injury and you came back from it. Like, no, you had a substantial major injury.
Yeah, he had a grade 3 AC joint sprain that he suffered in week 5. And he was initially supposed to only miss 1 to 2 months, but then the coach just shut him down and said, you know what, we'll just reboot. We saw enough of what we needed to see. Now just hold the clipboard and kind of watch, Gardner Minshew do his thing for the rest of the season. Which I don't blame them for doing. Like, we're not gonna rush this young man out there, if we're not in playoff contention, which they didn't know that they were going to be anyways. And then they had such a nice little groove that they had with Gardner Minshew, they didn't want to mess that up. So I think when it comes down to it, TJ, and to move on to the next thing, storyline, is that with Anthony Richardson, I look at this, I think my expectations for him at least close to in between 4,200 all-purpose yards, that's rushing and passing, completes at least 60 to 62% of your passes, and to have 30 plus touchdowns. I mean, those are realistic expectations, in my opinion, of a talent like him, and it could be even more. I think that's like
30 total, or 30 like
30 total,
30
total touchdowns, okay. Like 10 rushing. I'm saying like 10 rushing touchdowns, right? Because they're gonna be in the red zone. He's gonna be a threat. I think he'll get 10. He can get 10 rushing touchdowns in his sleep, and then I say 20 passing touchdowns. 20 passing touchdowns. You know what I mean? And I think when I have 4,000 all-purpose yards, I think 500 rushing, 500 to 600 rushing, and maybe just a little under, 4,000 yards passing. I mean, if you're not passing for close to 4,000 yards in today's NFL, you don't need to be quarterback at that team.
That's true.
That's
low key. I think because of his play style, I think they'll settle for 35 to 3,800 through the air. Another 7 to 8, 850 on the ground.
On the ground,
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So the next storyline, Zaire Franklin, former 7th round pick, had his career high in tackles last season at 179 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, one of the best linebackers in the league. Just got paid too as well. Had signed that 3-year contract extension worth up to $31.3 million. That's saying something for a 7th round pick. He's been active. I mean, you talk about how many tackles he's had since he's gotten in the league. Since 2018, 440 total tackles for Zaire Franklin. So I guess the storyline here is he a defensive player of the year candidate?
No.
You know what? Thank you for the short answer, because I'm going to say no as well, because to be a defensive player of the year candidate, you're going to have more than 1.5 sacks.
Yes. That and
or if you can't get sacks, TJ, I'm sorry for cutting you off. If you can't get sacks, right? Mm-hmm. As he did last year, and nobody's expecting, because he's an inside linebacker, right? But at least if he defended 6, he didn't get one. I don't think he got one interception last year. Like, no, you have to do outside of being when you're a middle linebacker. I don't care. I mean, how many times you tackle a person. Blake Martinez had damn near 150 tackles every single season.
Bro, we used to tell you that all the time. We used to tell you that.
Don't mean he's gonna win Defensive Player of the Year, bro. Like for him, he's got to have double-digit sacks. I'd say close to double-digit, maybe 5 to 6 interceptions, and he can't just be the second in the league in total tackles. He's got to be first in the league in total tackles.
So also,
to be
like,
the Defensive Player of the Year. And Indianapolis Colts have to be like top 5 in defense all season.
It's not just that. It's not just that. It's also like, do you know who you gotta go? Do you know who you're going against?
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Myles
like,
Garrett.
TJ Watt.
TJ Watt.
Like, bro, like, do you know, like, Montez Sweat, like, bro, like,
Nick Bosa,
like, bro, like, do you know, like, what's his name up in Aiden Hutchinson, like, bro, like,
Aiden Hutchinson, yeah.
Do you know who you're going against? Like, it's a deep pool, man. Like, and we've seen the guys we just named, like, especially Nick Bosa and TJ Watt. Bro, like, we've seen them have historic seasons. Like, we've seen them have 15, 18, 20 sacks and not win it. Like, seriously. Like, like, do you know
because DJ, total tackles, look, I want to say this. Getting 20, I'd rather have 20 sacks than 200 total tackles in a season. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm getting after the quarterback. I'm putting that team in down and distance situations. I'm talking like bad situations where it's like, okay, I get a sack on second down. Now I put them in a 3rd and long situation, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 16 type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Second and 20. You know what I'm saying? I just sacked this quarterback 7 yards behind the field. You know what I'm saying? Like, sacks are more important than interceptions. Well, I won't say interceptions, but they're more important than a whole bunch of tackles that you're making 5 yards down the field.
Yeah.
Just saying. So I don't mean to want to stay on that topic, but I don't think Zaire Franklin is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. He's a great player. He's a nice player. I think the storyline here should be, is Zaire Franklin finally going to make an All-Pro team?
And even that's still a no. Like, that's like,
because you're going against what, Fred Warner, like, and who else is linebackers in it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's still a no. Like, all right, just in his just in his conference, bro. In his conference. Bro, it took Roquan Smith switching conferences to finally get an All-Pro nod.
Right.
There were years where Roquan Smith had better numbers than Fred Warner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fred Warner still got the nod over him because his teams were more successful. Roquan Smith gets traded to Baltimore his first year in the AFC. Boom, immediate All-Pro nod. Immediately, his first year in the AFC conference gets that nod. So it's tough. It's tough. And like you said, like, bro, like, y'all, like, they have to be so damn good, and we're banking on him being good, plus the Colts as a team being good, and so on and so forth. Versus, and he has to go against so many other people at that position. It's just not feasible.
It's not feasible. I mean, and yeah, can he be maybe 3rd team All-Pro? Can he be a Pro Bowler? Possibly. I think that should be the storyline, you know, in making one of those teams. Next storyline is, how do we rank the running back, wide receiver, tight end room? Obviously, they drafted Adonai Mitchell. We'll get to that in the next slide. They still got Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, who had a solid year, Alec Pierce, you mentioned him. And then at the tight end position, Jelani Woods, Kylan Grandson, Mo Alley Cox, solid trio of tight ends there. And then obviously the big one here at running back is Jonathan Taylor, who should have a full season under his belt this season. And then backing him up is Trey Sermon. So I guess the question is, what do you rank those in the division?
All right, so
I guess we'll start with, how do you rank those in the division?
In the division,
I think Jacksonville's better. I think Houston's definitely better. I
Houston's
think they're third
definitely-
place, just like how we think their ranking is going to be.
Yeah, that like all right. So like let's just take the top. Let's just take the top one for each of them. All right. So it's Michael Pittman Jr., Jonathan Taylor. Who would you say is tight end one? Mo Alley Cox. Put him at tight end one.
Jelani Woods.
All right, Jelani Woods. All right. So first, so you got that versus who's receiver number one in Houston? Is it Stephon
It's
Diggs?
no. In Houston is gonna be what's his name from Michigan? Golly, I play with this goddamn team all the time now. In Madden. I just mentioned his name yesterday. Hold on, give me 1 second. It's gonna be Nico Collins.
Oh, Stephon Diggs.
Oh no, Stephon Diggs. No, Stephon Diggs. My bad. I forgot. It is Stephon Diggs. You right.
So you got Stephon Diggs. You got Joe Mixon. You got Joe Mixon there now, and who's that tight end? Just up like Stephon Diggs is better than Michael Pittman. Joe Mixon, I ain't gonna say Joe Mixon's better than Jonathan Taylor, but we ain't gonna sit here like Joe Mixon's a bum either, right? And then whoever they got at the tight end spot, and then you go to Jacksonville, you got
That's Dalton Schultz.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Give me Dalton Schultz over Jelani Woods. Yes, absolutely. So yeah, you're beneath, you're below Houston. And then you go to Jacksonville, you got whoever the hell they got.
They got Calvin Ridley now.
Oh yeah, you got Calvin Ridley. You got why is his name escaping me? The running back.
You got
ETN. You got Travis Etienne, and then whoever they got at tight end.
No. Jacksonville doesn't have Calvin. He's on Tennessee now. They got Jacksonville. I would say number one is still Christian Kirk, or if you want to say Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis. They drafted Brian Thomas. Yeah, I forgot. Calvin Ridley's in Tennessee now.
I don't know. I might put them over. I might put them over Jacksonville. I might low key, like Tennessee losing Derrick Henry is what cost them. Like,
I mean, I'm not putting Jelani Woods over Evan Ingram.
I can't do that either. But real talk, like Tennessee.
And when you look at Tennessee,
them losing Derrick Henry, bro, like that's massive, bro. Like you got Calvin Ridley, you still got DeAndre Hopkins, but you lose.
If I had to look at Tennessee's wide receiver room, though, bro, I think Tennessee has the second best wide receiver room in the division because you got DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, and Tyler Boyd, and then Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks is your fourth best wide receiver, and then Nick Westbrook-Akine is I would actually put Treylon Burks as the third best wide receiver in that room, and then you got Nick Westbrook-Akine as probably the fifth best option in that wide receiver room. So I would actually put Tennessee, and I was alluding to this yesterday. I said the offensively, I think Tennessee is gonna keep themselves in the games. I think depending on how Will Levis, develops as a QB, which I saw really good things, and you add Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd to that mix, who are veteran wide receivers. I thought Tennessee was going to be able to hang in games. Just defensively, I still think that they have some work to do. So when I look at the wide receiver room, I think Tennessee's good. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you lose Derrick Henry, you gain Tony Pollard. Chiga Congo is whatever.
I think you still got Hassan Haskins.
I think Hassan Haskins. I think Tajay Spears is probably gonna be him and Tajay Spears to fight for that number 2 role. But
yeah, when you look at them just in their division, like it depends on who you ask. Like they may everybody's chasing Houston, so they may be second or third depending on who you talk to.
Yeah, I mean, depending on who you talk to, like you said, they might be second or third, but I overall I think I have them as a unit like the third best behind Houston, definitely number 1. Jacksonville got to be number 2 when it comes to those 3. But anyways, moving on to their draft, I thought that they had a solid draft, in my opinion, especially with the first 4 picks in my opinion. I think Latu from UCLA. I think he was one of the lead college leaders in sacks. AD Mitchell's a big wide receiver out of Texas. Fast. He's a red zone threat. And Matt Gonkov's. I didn't see a lot of him out of Pittsburgh, but I definitely saw Tanner Bortolini because we're Big Ten guys, so we got to see him on that Wisconsin offensive line. I thought he was a solid pickup for them in the draft. So I mean, and then they got the 5th round pick Anthony Gold out of Oregon State, Jalen Carlees out of Missouri, Jalen Simpson out of Auburn, Micah Abraham out of Marshall, the 6th round pick, and then their last pick in the 7th round was Jonah Laulu out of Oklahoma. If I got that right, if I got that wrong, I'm sorry. But I think, obviously when I look at their draft, I judge them off of their first 4 picks. There's their last, 5 picks. I mean, we'll see if the guys even make the team, if they get cut, they, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Make the practice squad.
Obviously, like the Colts are one of those teams, like, depending on, like, especially if you're an offensive lineman, you have no problem saying, hey, I'm going to Indianapolis. Like, the way they develop offensive linemen is, it should be studied. Like, it's beautiful. Like obviously, that conversation starts and ends with the man that is Quentin Nelson. Like, dude's been all pro since he put on a Colts uniform. You feel me?
Right.
So if you're Tanner Bortolini and Matt Gonthouse, especially with Bortolini, like, bro, you coming out, you go from O-line, you in Wisconsin to Indianapolis, so it's like, yeah, you know how to get coached. Adonai Mitchell, it's just we're gonna take what Anthony Richardson does, and we're just gonna add more to it. Like, we're gonna give the defense so many headaches to worry about that you're gonna forget that he can also give you a headache. And obviously, Latu. I think the edge for the Colts has been like the one thing that they've been sorely lacking. Like that consistent edge presence. Like, ever since like Dwight Freeney hung him up, you ain't really had that consistent pressure off the edge that you've been missing. So to your point, like, Latu should start. Like, he should be a day one dude. Mitchell should be a day one dude. And then you got 2 serviceable backups if you need them, and Bortolini and Godfrey. And then like you said, the rest of the guys, you just hope that, I ain't gonna say they ain't gonna get cut. They'll find a way. Just like,
yeah. I mean, you like the kid out of Missouri, right? He went from being a Jalen Carlees, right? I remember him, a big strong safety, but he's gonna translate to being a weak side linebacker in the NFL. Okay, Jalen Simpson is another guy. He's gonna, they're gonna add depth, is what I'm trying to say, to those, those positions at cornerback and nickelback. And then a lot of those, like you said, the only guy that's probably gonna get a lot of run is Latu, right? He's probably gonna start. I mean, I don't know. I mean, do you start him over Kwity Paye?
I think that's an open competition. I think that is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you probably play.
Or Samson and Abuplum. Both of them had solid seasons last year. Yeah. Both of them
again, like, you don't draft a dude in the first round and not and not play him and not find opportunities to get him on the field. Latu has to see the field. Like, you have to justify. A lot of people felt like he slipped. A lot of people felt like he failed in the draft. Like, a lot of people feel like Latu should have been top 10, but he wasn't.
Well, because he had that neck injury, or damn near had the. If I'm not mistaken, he had. Oh no, that might have been somebody else that had the neck injury, that had to medically retired and all that other shit.
But check it out though. Like, check it out. Like, even with that, if it's him, even with that, you still took You said still use a first round pick on him.
It was him. It was him. It
Okay.
was him.
So
Not too loud.
even with that, you used a first round pick on him. You have to justify you using that first round pick, right? Like, so what better? Like, you gotta show the fans that, hey, we heard what y'all said about this dude. We read the same medical reports y'all did, maybe a little bit more in depth than what y'all did because we have access to stuff that y'all don't, and we still draft him. We have that much faith in him that we're gonna take this. We're gonna use our 15th overall pick on him, and he's gonna be a crucial part to this organization. So Latu has to see, like, he has to see the fit. Like, I don't know in what capacity. I think he might be a little undersized to be the edge right now, so they might try to move him to linebacker. Maybe, I don't know, but they have to find a way for him to get on the field.
He's got. I think he's got the prototypical size 6'5", 260. But honestly, I think the neck injury did scare some teams. I think he has tremendous ability. I mean, he won all the defensive line awards. He won the Lombardi Award, won the Hendricks Award. He's a unanimous All-American last year. So I mean, he's first team All Pac-12, 2-time first team All Pac-12. So yeah, I mean, like you said, he should see the field. And then I think A.D. Mitchell, when you look at him, a guy like Josh Downs had a hell of a year rookie season last year, right? He, had 68 catches, 771 yards. I look for him to, be even better next year or this season. Have maybe close to 1,000 yards. Michael Pittman Jr.'s, stud already at the wide receiver position. Alec Pierce is a guy that is going to get, so they got 3 big wide receivers, like guys that are over 6'4". You know what I'm saying? Like 3 big dudes that are big that can catch the football. For this team. A.D. Mitchell's more 6'1", 6'1", 6'2", but still, 3 solid guys that are threats, to catch the football for them. Anyways, moving down to the free agency roster shakeup, they added the old wily veteran to back up Anthony Richardson since Gardner Minshew took that deal down there in LA or Las Vegas. They got Joe Flacco. They added Raekwon Davis as well to that defense, and then departures were Gardner Minshew, Zach Moss, Jacob Martin, Tony Brown, Isaiah McKenzie, and KJ Hamler, former Penn State wide receiver. So yeah, I mean, what do you think about the free agency pickups?
Joe, what? Why, Joe? Why are you still? What do you have to gain, Joe? Like, go sit down.
Enjoy retirement.
Please.
His shit was over with. Hey, Cleveland made the damn playoffs, and boy, I'll tell you, we were all raving about Joe Flacco getting to Cleveland to the playoffs and yada yada yada. And then, boy, he had 3 back-to-back interceptions. I think 2 of them was for touchdowns, something like that. Was that against Houston, right?
Yeah, one of them was a uncalled uncalled DPI or uncalled rough, one of the two that one called, and it's just they just said,
a bad time.
Yeah, it was not a good evening for Joe Flacco.
He trying to redeem himself in Indy.
I mean, like at least with this opportunity, he's not being called off his couch. He's gonna be there from start to finish, hopefully. Right? Like, people forget that when he got the call from Cleveland, he was at home. He was at home. He wasn't playing, and he did what he did, got into the playoffs, and that's why he was like, well, he was a nominee for comeback player of the year and all the other good stuff. I think whenever we do this, I always say, like, hey, if you're a team, you always want to try to bring in more than what you lost. And this is a lot. Like, you lose Gardner Minshew, you lose Zach Moss, Jacob Martin, stuff like this. This is a lot. And it's not like you lost guys who didn't contribute. Like you lost Gardner Minshew, who was again an errant pass or whatever, however you want to call it, away from getting y'all to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough. Like so, if you go from Joe Flacco, if you go from Gardner Minshew to Joe Flacco, if Anthony Richardson, knock on wood, gets hurt again, at least you have the confidence in Gardner Minshew that hey, he can do this for a long period of time. Joe Flacco is what 40,
Mm-hmm.
if not 40, damn near close to it. And the Joe Flacco that went on that crazy run in Baltimore, that's not the same Joe Flacco. That's not the Joe Flacco you're getting. You're probably more so getting the Joe Flacco that was in that Houston game. than,
Oh, yeah.
than
Oh, you
not.
definitely getting that Joe Flacco that was in that damn Houston game in the second half. Where all the wheels fell off. Shoot, they took all the wheels and the rims and left that car on bricks.
Man.
So yeah, I mean, Raekwon Davis, big physical individual, big 6'7", 320, 300-pound defensive tackle. Gets a second chance in Indy after playing in Miami. I think they expected a little bit more out of him in Miami. Different scheme, I guess, when it comes to like Miami, where they wanted him to like pretty much be a space eater. Whereas in Indy, he's with Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner. They're gonna expect him to be in that rotational piece and be able to get upfield and get sacked. So but I Raekwon Davis, still young, still capable. He was a former second round pick. I thought like he started falling out a little bit in Miami his last season. We didn't see him as much, but I mean, he played a hell of a lot of snaps. He was barely injured. He's been barely injured his career. So I think getting a fresh start in Indy, I think is going to help out his career there. So
Yeah,
that's that.
that's like it's again. Get the Colts we also gotta understand like they have been outside of poor management, right? Like good winning cares a lot. And when you're winning 10 to 12 games a year, like that overlooks the bad stuff that's going on that we the people don't see. So we can like when you had Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck was took y'all to an AFC championship. He's winning divisions and he's winning games. We low-key ignored the Jim Irsay nonsense for as long as we possibly could. Then the Jim Irsay nonsense got super loud because Andrew Luck retired and you didn't have that Hall of Fame quarterback play that you were so used to go from Peyton Manning to go from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck is like that's a blessing, and then you don't have that anymore. Like now you're hoping that Anthony Richardson could be that new iteration of great quarterback play for you. The Colts, all that being said, like the product on the field was never truly hindered by the nonsense that happened upstairs. And it used to be I think they used to be able to get some decent free agents depending on what they needed.
Mm-hmm.
Because people wanted to play with Peyton Manning. People wanted to play with
Andrew Luck.
Like now you're kind of hoping that if push comes to shove, that when they have these free agency meetings, that they can call in Anthony Richardson and use him to be the sales pitch. Like it's one thing to have Jonathan Taylor or Quentin Nelson in that meeting trying to make that sales pitch, but it's another one that free agency knows that when that free agent knows, hey, if I go here, I got a franchise quarterback that I can back up, and he got my back, and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
So,
no, I totally agree. I totally agree. I think as Anthony Richardson becomes becomes more progresses as a quarterback, especially like this is a big year. I think the next 2 years are big. I think you start to see an influx of more free agents, maybe wide receivers or whatever the case is, what have you, come through, defensive players. But I mean, Indy has always been a not so sexy destination just because of where they're at.
because it's Indy.
It's Indy. It's not Miami. It's not Chicago. It's not New York. It's not LA.
It's nap town. It's called nap town.
Not Vegas.
It's called nap
yeah.
town for a reason. Like players go to Indy, they go to sleep before the game, and then they wake up before the game, and then so on and so forth. Like this.
For real. Ain't nothing really to do out there in that. I mean, there's more to do out there than Detroit, but Anyways, oh no, I ain't gonna do Detroit like that. I'll put Cleveland in there. It's more to do in Naptown probably than it is to do in Cleveland. Anyways, man, moving on to their schedule. Get to the nitty gritty things. Yeah, I mean, looking at their schedule. I mean, we can go game by game. So they're at home week 1 against Houston.
That's an L.
That's an L.
So that's an L. I just think when it's all said and done, I just think they just don't. I just think they don't have enough. I think Houston's too much for them. Like Houston, it's got like when teams play Houston, hopefully everybody stays healthy. Hopefully CJ Stroud stays humble and stays grounded and stays healthy for first and foremost. When teams play Houston, it's gonna be death by 1,000 cuts. There's gonna be so many ways they can hurt you, and yeah, like you're right. You're right. There's a million ways. I mean, shoot, man, that's like Houston. I ain't gonna lie, man. Like when I pick up the sticks to play Madden, I'm playing with Houston. And this is I play with Houston without Stephon Diggs, without Joe Mixon. You know what I'm saying? Like I play with Houston right now on the sticks, and I be giving Muggs fits. Just Nico Collins and Tank Dell, Noah Brown. You know what I mean? Like when they had Singletary. Yeah, they got John Michie. I don't even utilize John Michie. When I play with them. But anyways, I mean, like, yeah, Houston is going to be a team that when when we get to Houston on the season preview, obviously in the next 2, they're a team that we're going to rave about. Like they went from last to first real quick in one season, and that's what happens when you get a transcendent quarterback. So yeah, I agree. I think week 1 is a loss at home. But will I think it'd be competitive? I think it can be competitive. Yeah. I think Anthony Richardson is with that offense. I think is capable of putting up points against Houston. Let's not act like Houston has the greatest defense. Known to man, they still have some holes on that defense, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So I think Indy can take advantage of them a little bit. And then the next week, they go into to Lambeau Field to face my Green Bay Packers in week 2, and I think that this is an interesting game because I think this is a game that they could win. They could win. I don't think they do win, but they could win because Green Bay, I think just that roster constructed, I think Green Bay has a problem with, especially if Anthony Richardson can get out the pocket on Green Bay. I think he can cause fits for them. But it's all about, can Indianapolis, it's just the same thing as Houston, besides the big name like Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon and stuff like that. Green Bay has an excellent offense. They have a bevy of wide receivers, a bevy of tight ends. They have so many weapons that they can kill you with. And Jordan Love, the one thing about him is that you got to make him uncomfortable and get him off of spots. But what I've heard in the offseason, that he's even better than what he was last season. Guys say that all the time. Anyway, they say this shit all the time, man. But just looking at just the what I've seen, I think Indy has a couple close games. Look,
Chicago too is another one. I think that would be a close game too.
Yeah, this is
It's toss-up game.
This is a tough five game stretch to open the season with. Like,
hell yeah, it is.
Like, bro, like you go Houston, then you go to Green Bay, you get Chicago at home, which is basically could turn into another road game because Indianapolis ain't nothing but 3 hours from the city. So Bears fans travel and travel well. So and then you go from Chicago, you got Pittsburgh coming in. That's another fan base that travel well. They're projected to be better with Russell Wilson at the helm. And then you go to Jacksonville. Like, bro, like I ain't gonna sit here and say y'all gonna think the Colts could be 0-5 at the start of the season. But would I be surprised if they like 2-3? Then 1-4? Like 1-4 is possibly
I think the only game they might have a chance, the only two games that they will have a chance at winning, and it's not because I'm a Packer fan, and it's not because I'm a Bear hater or nothing like that.
No.
The only reason I say that is because the Bears. It's because the Bears on the road, and Caleb Williams is a rookie. And we know how that shit goes. You know what I mean? Like,
that's fair. Like the two winnable games in this, well, really three, because like although they're tough at home, it's still Green Bay still like they can win that game, right? They can very well win that game. And you're asking George Love to, hey, all right, now do it again. Like
same shit.
Yeah. Like, hey, do it again. So but to your point, Chicago.
We asking them wide receivers to do it again, TJ.
Them
you know what I'm saying? We asking the whole offense to do it again. You know, can you do it again? Because remember, Green Bay to start the season, they started good. You know, first 4 or 5 games, and then they hit that dry spell. And then they picked it up after the bye week. Remember, we were talking about, man, it's Jordan Love, the franchise quarterback, yada, yada, yada. He may not be, remember? And then after the bye week, he had it was him, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. That's pretty much who were having better, you know, he was in that realm. So, you know, if you're going to get Green Bay, you're going to get them early, you know, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. And so, like Chicago's winnable game, like I said, rookie quarterback on the road, and then Pittsburgh's a winnable game because we're not going to sit here and act like people are just out on Russell Wilson. And then if Russell Wilson doesn't perform well, who's the backup? Oh, Justin Fields. People are out on Justin Fields after his first year as a starter, throwing to people that people can't even name now.
Bro, Pittsburgh Steelers fans. I work with a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. They wholeheartedly they want Russell Wilson to succeed. But there's still a glimmer. They're like they wouldn't mind if neither one of them dudes were good this season, and they were able to get like Shedeur Sanders this year.
And like, bro, and that's kind of sad. But like, you're hoping, like, you're praying for your team to be bad to get another dude. Like that's
exactly.
That's kind of bad. So like, I think like I might like so like first 5 games you might be 2-3.
I'm going 2-3. I'm going 2-3. I'm gonna say Chicago, Pittsburgh. Just you know, whatever.
It's gonna
and the game could very well be 3-2 with Green Bay.
It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be one of those, like those 3 games. Like it's gonna be one of those 3.
Shit, I think they could beat Jacksonville too. I don't think Jacksonville is all that great. In my opinion,
I don't think
at home. I think on the road. You don't think they can beat Jacksonville on the road?
No, I think they lose to Jacksonville on the road. I think they beat Tennessee though.
Oh fuck yeah, Tennessee's 10. I think yesterday I had them splitting, so I think I had Tennessee at home winning that game. So I'm actually gonna stick to it. I had them splitting with Indy.
No,
so I had them splitting with Indy. So I actually have them start the season. I got them 2-6, 2-6, 2-7. They losing to Miami.
Bro, like this,
I don't care where they playing.
Like, bro, like this is man. This some shit.
They,
like, bro.
2-8. They losing to Houston. They beating Minnesota in my opinion. I think Minnesota's gonna have a bad year this year.
Yeah. Poor JJ McCarthy, bro. I feel so bad for him.
Well, no, Sam Darnold's gonna start the year, and then JJ McCarthy's gonna probably be JJ McCarthy's first game against Indianapolis. Low key.
What's that week? 8? About week 8?
Yeah, week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, week 9.
Week 9?
Yeah.
Nah. Hey,
Now
nah.
he's starting before then.
No, I just you already know how I feel about that, but like, hey, if he's the guy, if he's gonna start him right away. If he's not gonna start, then sit his ass down the whole year. Like,
I think
don't.
Sam Darnold starts right away. I think Sam Darnold is gonna start right away. That's just
Hey,
me though.
I mean, hey, like,
But you moved up to get JJ, right? They moved up to get him.
you moved up to get JJ, and then you're losing to Buffalo. You're if Aaron Rodgers is playing, you're losing to the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets are gonna have a bounce back year. The Jets are gonna have a bounce back year. Oh, you definitely losing to Detroit. That's definitely losing to Detroit. That is Detroit's gonna have a 14 win record this year.
Maybe they maybe lose. Like Detroit, like, bro.
I
No,
get where you're going with this because
just think about, like, for what it's worth, the Bears both times gave Detroit all they can handle. They should have gotten swept by the Bears last season, right? They like for what it's worth, the Bears gave them all they can handle. I don't think that, like, this just screams this just screams trap game for the Detroit Lions, depending on how things go for the Colts by this time of the year for them. Like, they gonna go down to Indiana, like, right? And they go to Indy, right? They go to Indy. This has trap game screen written all over it. They smacking the hell out of New England. Sorry, Gerard Mayo. Like, hey, you another one.
Yeah, Drake May's gonna have a bad year in my opinion.
And then this right here is the interesting. This right here is.
I think they went out. I think the ceiling for Indy is 9 wins, 9-8. The same thing as they were last season, 9-8, knocking on the door to possibly making a wild card. Making a wild.
You muted yourself.
My bad. Oh, am I good now? I think the last 4 games of the season are very winnable. Last 5 games of the season, because they got that bye after New England. I think the last 5 games are very winnable. I think they already have 3 wins under their belt. I think Chicago, Pittsburgh, Chicago, Pittsburgh, maybe Jacksonville. They could beat. I don't know if they could beat Jacksonville on the road, but they have a possibility they can. I mean, I'm saying, like, against Tennessee on the road, I think that's a game that I think they could win. I only picked Tennessee because I picked Tennessee to win yesterday, so I'm going to do that. But I think the ceiling is 9 wins, 8 to 9 wins for Indianapolis this season.
I'm 7-9.
Or 7 wins.
7 to 9 wins. Like this, the floor is 5. I'm being so serious. Like,
5?
Like, bro, like,
you think they probably only picking up the last 5 games?
But look at, but it's just like, I'm not being I'm not being, like, negative, but it's just look at some of the teams they face. But we got them both losing to we both got them getting swept by Houston, so that's 2 L's, right? That's 2 L's. We can throw asterisks next to Green Bay and Chicago because those are games they can win those. They can very well lose those. You're not beating Miami. You're not beating Buffalo. You probably.
I think you got to put an asterisk next to New York. Because depending on Aaron Rodgers' health. Well, depending on what Aaron Rodgers' health is, because if Aaron Rodgers isn't healthy by that time, which very well could be a possibility, then I think that got them winning that game.
Absolutely.
And then at home against Detroit, I think Detroit's going to be a 14-win team this year. They're winning the division by a landslide. Fair. I don't even think as much as Packer fans want to say that they have a chance to win a division. I think Bears and Packers are going to be fighting for second place.
Third.
I think Detroit's the cream of the crop with that division.
And then you got and then you got an asterisk next to Denver, because I don't care who you are, that Denver and that altitude, that's a tough place to play. I don't
It's
care.
tough, and then it depends
I
on.
don't care.
And then also at that point in time, I think I like Bo Nix under Sean Payton in that offense. So at that time, I think Bo Nix could very well be in his groove at home, comfortable.
And then
I think they either split or sweep Tennessee.
When y'all beat right, they probably right.
They're beating the shit out of the Giants. I think the Giants have no. I don't think the Giants have no chance at winning 3 or 4 games this year. No chance. I don't even want them to win 3-4 games. I hope they go deep. I hope they lose all 17 games.
He said, "I don't even want to, bro. I don't want now quarterback in college to be subjected to New York media because they're going to be Is that a trolley? A trolley just went down the street, bro. I'm sorry. I don't want now quarterback in college, whether it's Carson Beck, Shador Sanders, Buddy from Utah. I really don't care. I don't want any quarterback from in college to go to the Giants because they're going to be unceremoniously given all the hopes and dreams of every New Yorker.
If there's a quarterback, in my opinion, that can handle Detroit, that can handle New York media out of this draft class, it's Shador Sanders. Because of the amount of scrutiny that him and Colorado and his father, and even when he was at Jackson State, the amount of scrutiny that he had to endure throughout his whole college career.
Well, bro, think about it though. Let's say Shador Sanders scores a touchdown, and he do his signature celebration, right? He flashed the wrist and all that other stuff, but they losing. Can you imagine what they gonna say? Oh, can you imagine what New York radio gonna say about that? Like some simple like that, he scored a touchdown and he do his celebration, but they losing. Do you know what the fans in the radio gonna say about that, bro?
They might say something. Look, TJ, they might say something, but that is not going to deter that young man from talking trash, from being charismatic on the field, and from putting up numbers in the NFL. That's just how I feel. I don't know how anybody else feels, but if there's, and I know we're getting off track a little bit here, but if there's any quarterback coming up in this draft that can handle New York media, it's that young man. And I don't even think his dad wants him to play for. His dad ain't got no damn choice where he gonna want to play next season. So you ain't gonna pull no damn Eli Manning or nothing like that, brother. The teams that you want him to play for, the teams that Deion want his son to play for, already have quarterbacks.
I mean, truth be told, they could. They could. We ain't finna sit here and act like Deion, bro, this is Deion Sanders. This is arguably the greatest defender to play this game. I damn sure the greatest quarterback to ever play this game. If he says, I don't want this team drafting my son, you really don't think that's gonna have some pull? Bro, Arch Manning. Hold on. To be like, you brought up Eli Manning. Arch Manning said my son is not playing for the Chargers. Who the fuck was Arch Manning to make any kind of demand? Arch Manning ain't win nothing in the league.
Shit, he had a solid career with the Saints.
Arch Manning ain't win nothing in the league. Deion
Archie was actually, man. You know what's crazy, bro? Is that Archie is actually like Terry Bradshaw, or not Terry Bradshaw, but Archie's like a lot of those like old time quarterbacks that played in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, like Brett Favre. Brett Favre looked up to Archie Manning and all that shit in New Orleans back in the 70s, bro. It's so crazy because of his play style. But look, it's crazy. Shit, we might even be seeing Indianapolis getting one of those quarterbacks next season if they're not happy with Anthony Richardson this season. If Anthony Richardson comes out and makes a bunch of mistakes and throws a bunch of interceptions and digresses as a quarterback, and they only win 5 games, as you say, Indianapolis will be drafting another quarterback next season in the next draft, 2025.
No, that's my floor. 5 games is my floor. I'm not wishing that. I'm not hoping that. Obviously, I think offensively, I think they are too damn talented to be just like, hey, we're only gonna win 5 games. The issue is the other side of the ball. I can wholeheartedly see, and we saw this with the Bears, right? Like we saw them, especially that year they went 3-14, right? They had 7 or 8 games where they lost by 1 possession, where it was either they needed to score and they didn't get it, or they needed the defense to get 1 stop to hold on and they didn't get it. I can wholeheartedly see the latter part happening for the Colts. Like, hey, we need this defense to get 1 stop. We need the defense to get 1 stop to get us to either get us the ball back, or we need 1 stop to hold the lead. And I can wholeheartedly see that defense coming up short a few times. That's how they go 5-12 or 6-11. On the flip side, again, we're both hoping for the best. We both want them to win 9 games. I want absolute chaos at the end of the season. I want absolute chaos between them, Houston, and Jacksonville. I want to see the mad scramble. I want to see it all. I want to see them lose their mind. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I think if they're right around 9-10 wins, and I talked about this yesterday with Tennessee, because they're gonna say that they, one of the storylines, they're a sneaky playoff team. Boy, they starting like 2-9. You have to win at least 10 to 11 games to make even a wild card. To win this division alone, you're probably going to have to be in that 10 win range to possibly win the division alone. I think Houston's tremendously better. I think they're probably going to win 12 games, right? So Indy, especially in the AFC that's pretty talented, you're going to have to win at least 10 games to even be considered to even make the playoffs, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so when I talk about 9 wins, I mean, you're talking about like, okay, Jacksonville and them are fighting. They're in the same position as they were last season, where they're knocking on the door for the last wild card spot against Jacksonville, and that's if Jacksonville is even as good as who we Jacksonville was supposed to be picked to win the South last season, and you know what happened. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
They fell apart.
They fell apart. You know what I'm saying? So who knows if Indy may be better than Jacksonville next season? Because we were sitting here last season, remember? We were sitting here last season saying, and I got my mic is off. Jesus. My bad. I'm here. We were sitting here last season saying the same shit about Houston last season, how they were going to be in the bottom of the division, how they're going to be a 3 or 4 win team. CJ Stroud was going to have growing pains, and look at CJ Stroud look like. He looked like a veteran quarterback from week 1.
Now again, no expectations absolutely helps. Not being handcuffed by your coaching staff absolutely helps, and Jacksonville collapsing the way that they did absolutely helps. Again, like people were comparing CJ Stroud to Justin Fields. I'm all like, well, one was handcuffed the minute he came into the league. Matt Nagy didn't even want to play Justin Fields his first year. He wanted him to sit. Right. CJ Stroud got drafted, and D'Amico Ryans went to him like, hey, man, play your game. We ain't finna try to change nothing. We ain't finna do none of that. Go play your game. Matt Eberflus gets a hold of Justin Fields, and he's like, hey, I want 2-2-2. 200 yards, 2 total touchdowns, and like 2-2-0, 200 yards, 2 total touchdowns, no turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Like, what am I supposed to do with that?
No, I totally agree.
You kind of, and then so like you saw that with Shane Steichen with the Colts, and hey, you draft Anthony. Hey man, we ain't changing nothing. Hey, you gonna go out there, you gonna play your game. You gonna play your game. Now, hopefully, once again, to wrap this all up, you hope Anthony Richardson is there for more than 4 games.
And is healthy. And you know, and I'll say this. I think between Indy and Tennessee, I think obviously Indy has more higher expectations, but not like expectations to like win the division or, even finish second place or even, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like Indy's expectations are we'll be happy to make the playoffs. We'll be happy to get that last seed in the playoffs. And if Anthony Richardson can stay healthy and show progress, that's their expectations. Teams like Tennessee this year have no expectations. All they want to see, even though they have a bunch of, they have veteran wide receivers, their expectations are we're going to compete and we put enough around Will Levis to maybe make some noise. They're hoping that they can have a similar season like Houston did last season. That's the difference between not having expectations and having some expectations like Indy. Like if Shane Steichen only wins 5 games, like you say, and his floor is 5 games, 7 wins, he's digressed from winning 9 wins where you had Gardner Minshew, especially if Anthony Richards fully healthy all season. You went from 9 wins to having 7 to 5 wins this season. What the hell happened? And to add it on top, your quarterback didn't progress. You got worse as a team. So now you're on the hot seat for in year 3. You damn near may not even have a job. So, well, I doubt that because, anyways. So that's just the reality of the Indianapolis Colts this season. And so I think that's the expectations is wild card. And you say floor 5 wins, I say 7. I think 9, 10. You think 8, 7, 9 wins as their ceiling.
Yeah, 7
so,
and 9, and that's fair. Like
that's totally fair.
That's totally fair. Like, bro, again, like I want them to be successful. I want Anthony Richardson to remember every negative thing that was said about him during this process, and I want him to prove everybody wrong. Like I hope in my heart of hearts, I want that. But I'm looking at this schedule, bro. Like you got 4 tough games in your on your schedule, just in your division alone. Like, bro, like Houston and Jacksonville, like that's them 4 games that you very well could go 0-4 in. Like that's just the reality.
Like, yeah, I agree.
That's then again, like remember, like you hoping for at least a split with both of them. Like we're not gonna sit here and act like 0-4. It's not a possibility. Like, you're more likely to go 0-4 against those 2 teams than you are 4-0. And that's just what it is.
Absolutely. But anyway, that's been a wrap on the show, man. That's been the Indianapolis Colts season preview. You guys let us know in the comment section where you think the Indianapolis Colts are going to land, or record wise next season, how they're going to do. Leave that in the comment section. That's been a wrap. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. In case you miss us, you catch us on all streaming platforms where podcasts can be heard, and catch us on PSWMG.com for all your sporting needs. I got to throw all that stuff out there, TJ. But anyways, it's been a wrap. I'm your host, Israel Rivera. That's TJ Hopkins. And usually, to end the show, I say if I miss you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Ladies and gentlemen, sayonara, suckers. We will see you next week at some point. Covering the Jacksonville Jaguars. See you later, brother.